President McKinley is assassinated. Matter of fact, at one point, it looked like he was going to recover it. Teddy, an avid hunter, decides, hey, I'm going to go out hunting, and he's going to recover, and I'm going to go on vacation. Goes out hunting, finds out McKinley turns for the worst, dies, and has to hurry back in order to take his oath of office. Now, let's take a look at the characteristics of Teddy. And matter of fact, it's not only Teddy that we're looking at. These were national characteristics at the time. So when I'm talking about Teddy was like this, Teddy was like that, frankly, America was like this, America was like that. What am I talking about? Aggressive and egotistical. Come on, we're still that way today. Energetic with a genuine love for people. Matter of fact, he was just a ball of energy. He made some of his fame for cleaning up the New York City Police Department. When he took over, it was probably the most corrupt major city police department in the United States. Within a year, it might have been about the cleanest. He totally cleaned it. He would show up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, get straighten that tie. Where's your partner? Let's go find him. You never knew where he was going to be. So he really turned it around through his energy. Politician who recognized the needs for compromise. He was a politician. Even though he loved people, he knew how to play the political game. Strong belief in the leadership of the president. So there is a string of thought we want to talk about. Which presidents increased the power of the presidency? Washington, Lincoln, Jackson. And then we come to Teddy, and then FDR. And up to 1945, those are the presidents who you'd want to have in that string of thought. Moralistic. His were the right ones, and he was ready to use force to enforce those. A lot of force. West African proverb, I guess from the cartoon, you should be able to tell what it is. Speak softly and carry a big stick, and you will go far. Meaning, if I walk into the classroom with a gun on the side of my hip, and I say, I want no discipline problems, and the principal comes in and says, hey, love your gun, walks back out, I bet you I won't have to yell at anybody that year. Speak softly, carry a big stick. You don't have to yell if you got a big military. Panama Canal. Now, Panama Canal, it's a story I'm going to tell kind of going off the notes a little bit. First off, it's in Panama. We would get it in a 10-mile Panama Canal zone. So where is Panama? If you look at the isthmus right here, it was owned by Colombia at the time. Now, it's an obvious spot, you would say, for having the canal, although there was one other spot they were thinking about. If you take a look at this big lake here, if you go through Nicaragua, you can also have a short way across. So Panama Canal, they have a lake area that it goes through also. And then to go up or down, how do you go up or down? How do you go uphill in water? Well, you do it through a lock system. So that's where they're going. It's called Lake Gatun, I believe it's called. This is from Mahan's advice. Teddy would overthrow the Colombian government. I should say overthrow. So there was a need demonstrated during the Spanish-American War, a two-ocean navy that's costly, not efficient. This could severely reduce it by being able to go back and forth between the Pacific and the Atlantic. Now, earlier we had made a deal with Great Britain in the Clayton-Bulwer Treaty that said any canal would have to be a joint venture. So we were going to have to get Britain out of this treaty before we could move further. So in 1901, we had the Hay-Pauncefote Treaty, which allowed the U.S. to go it alone. Guess who made it? John Hay. And we're going to have some other characters in also. First off, allows the U.S. to go it alone. Britain was having problems elsewhere. It was, Germany was on the rise, causing Britain all kinds of headaches, you think. Thus, they desire to cultivate U.S. friendship better as an ally, and would allow the British to reduce their presence in the Caribbean. They wanted their navy elsewhere. So now they were willing to allow us to go it alone. Now, the French had tried to build a canal before. A guy named de Lesseps was in charge. He had already done the Suez Canal. But mosquitoes kicked his ass. Just as simple as that. Disease just crushed him. Major mismanagement. He was used to digging a canal in the desert sand. Hello, tropical jungle. So, difference between a lock type and sea level canals, if you're going from sea to sea, it's 0 sea level to 0 sea level. So you don't need any locks. But when you're going uphill, up a river or such, up a canal to a higher lake, which they were going to be doing, they had to have lock system so those ships could go up and down sea level. So the French Canal Company wished to dump it for $109 million, and first, maybe not going to happen. The House favored a Nicaraguan route because of costs. And the Walker Commission votes 308-2. The French dropped the cost to $40 million. And get lobbyists, called, yeah, there's the name, Bernal Varia, as a representative. Now, you're getting some little dirt here, but frankly, it happens. We're going to go with the Panama route. Once Mount Pelée erupts, killing 30,000. So Bernal Varia secures Nicaraguan postage stamps picturing the most active volcano and sends one to every U.S. senator. All right, volcano land. You don't want the Nicaraguan route. Volcanoes. Panama, baby. And so Panama is part of Colombia. An agreement must still be reached with them. So we propose a treaty. And here's the items for the treaty. The Colombian Senate rejects the treaty and wants $25 million. Roosevelt is ticked. Cool. Damn the law. I want the canal built. Blackmailers of Bogota, capital of Colombia. Trying to get the Colombian government is like trying to agree to anything. Trying to get the Colombian government to agree to anything is like trying to nail currant jelly to the wall. Here's currant jelly, trying to nail it to the wall. So, how do you get around Colombia? Alternative is for Panama to revolt and declare their independence. But they don't have the juice to take on Colombia. How are they going to do that? Well, not for sure, but it looks like a meeting was hatched at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York, where they had representatives from Panama get in there with representatives from Teddy and make a deal. So what they do, is they go to, hey, number 19, the cradle of the Panamanian Republic. I like this one. Yeah, okay. All right, do number 19 on your study guide. And when you're finished, come back and turn on the movie. And welcome back. All right. There he is, Bernal Varia. So what happens is they go down there and he parks the U.S. Navy right off the coast. And if I can, I'm going to go back to a picture here. Go back. There we go. So he's going to park the Navy right here. Now what you can't see on this map are the Andes Mountains. The Andes Mountains, very tall, and you can't really go back and forth over them. So what you got to do is you got to take your army, if you're going to march it from Colombia, and you're going to have to march it along the coastline. Now, the U.S. Navy, parked right out here, is capable of tossing ordnance that can weigh as much as a car and can toss it for miles. Like 15 miles. So, Colombia doesn't want to march an army past that. So, and he's walking on the thing. That's why the map went away. Wow, you hit a lot of keys. What you hit? All right. So, anyways, get a couple guys out in Panama, go bang, 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 revolution, revolution. And where's Colombian authorities? Nowhere to be seen. Independence, independence. And America says, we recognize your independence. We got your back. Nobody can attack you because your integrity of your borders. And hey, can we buy a canal from you? So that's basically what I just covered right there. Roosevelt officially recognized the government of Panama 3 days later. A little indecent haste. It's like somebody, their wife dies and they remarry the next week. 15 days later, a treaty is signed with Panama. Bonavia is the new Panamanian ambassador to the U.S. Despite being an employee of the canal company and a French citizen. Something doesn't smell quite right. I'm thinking. Grants U.S. sovereignty over a 10-mile strip of land, one-time payments of $10 million, $250,000 per year. We did increase payments, we did increase costs, and in 1999, we gave back the Panama Canal to Panama, even though we still do have a military presence in Panama. Roosevelt boasts in response to critics of usurping congressional powers of treaty making, I took the canal zone and let Congress debate. Definitely in the mold of Jackson, increasing presidential power. And it's kind of the old saying where, you do whatever you're going to do now, ask forgiveness later. So, canalimony. Kind of a take on alimony that you have to pay in a divorce. Canalimony. What do we give Colombia? Hey, we took their land. You know we got to give them some money. 1921, the U.S. pays Colombia $25 million. This is because 1921 is when Teddy dies and oil gets discovered in Colombia. Good relations with Colombia. I wonder why. Oil, black gold. Should be able to answer that question now. Money, baby, money. U.S. companies could explore for oil. It takes a lot of money to invest in oil. Back then, it was hit or miss. So you could sink all that money and come up with a dry well. So it wasn't anybody who could go looking for oil a lot of times. So it would take money, U.S. companies, but U.S. companies would need permission. You see where we're going. Roosevelt's desire to see the dirt fly. One, we had to come up with a way to fight those damned mosquitoes and yellow fever. William Gorris eliminates yellow fever. And this goes back to discoveries you should research right now by Walter Reed in Cuba. So, one of the major problems was mudslides. You're in the rainy rainforest. It has that name for a reason. So, George Goethals will solve that mudslide problem and other engineering problems. And in 1914, at a cost of $440 million, which was a huge sum of money back then, it was completed. Notice the timing, pretty good for World War I, wouldn't it be? The moral rightness of the incident. Well, we have President Carter's 1980 Canal Treaty. Had a lot of debate back then, but I think today most would agree it was probably the right thing and a good thing to do. And frankly, with the military the way it was, the canal was more obsolete for military strategic location purposes. Still, commerce, it was huge, but we had Panama's back in keeping, and Panama has proven to be fairly stable.